Why this family? Of all the billions of souls on this planet, why were you born to these specific parents into this specific set of circumstances? Was it a biological lottery? A random cosmic accident? Or was it something far more deliberate? What if your birth wasn't an accident at all, but an assignment, a sacred curriculum that your own soul designed before you ever took a single breath? This idea that we choose our lives is not a modern comfort theory. It is one of the oldest and most radical teachings in human history, whispered in ancient philosophical schools from Greece to India. It suggests that our families are not our cages, but our classrooms, and the lessons we learn there, especially the hardest ones, are the very reason we came here. This single perspective doesn't just challenge our pain. It presents the evidence that our entire life is a journey of remembering who we truly are. To begin this investigation, we must start with the man who became an unexpected cartographer of the soul, Edgar Cayce. Cayce was not a mystic, not a self-proclaimed guru, but a Sunday school teacher and a working photographer from Kentucky. He was, by all accounts, a man of simple faith who believed in the scientific method. His method, however, was anything but conventional. Cayce would enter a self-induced trance, often referred to as sleeping, and then answer questions ranging from medical diagnoses to the ultimate purpose of life. These became the famed life readings, a voluminous archive of knowledge detailing the soul's journey, reincarnation, and karmic necessity. Cayce's insights described a complex, self-aware soul that actively participates in planning its own curriculum. He described life on Earth as a school, where we continually return to the same classroom, our family, to complete unfinished assignments. His authority came not from academic credentials, but from the terrifying precision of his readings, a kind of knowledge that defied all rational explanation. This man, while asleep, drew the map of existence, and the core of that map was this: we are never victims of destiny, we are its architects. He did not seek this ability. In fact, for years he was deeply suspicious of it. How could he, a man with only a 9th grade education, speak with the authority of a seasoned physician or a timeless sage while unconscious? He feared its origin, questioning if it was a power that should be left undisturbed. It was only when he realized this strange state could be used for a higher purpose, for healing, that he cautiously agreed to proceed. His work began by offering stunningly accurate medical diagnoses for people he had never met, sometimes miles away, saving lives where conventional medicine had failed. But the information soon went deeper than the physical body. He claimed he was not inventing but accessing a universal database of consciousness, what his own readings called the Akashic Records, a vibrant living library where the entire journey of every soul is imprinted. He wasn't just a sleeping prophet, he was a librarian of the cosmos, reading directly from the Book of Life. And when he spoke of the soul's plan, he was merely translating the preface of a story that each of us had written for ourselves. This is what made his revelations so disruptive. He presented a map of reality that he himself had never studied, yet it mirrored the most profound spiritual philosophies the world has ever known. According to Cayce's readings, the period between death and rebirth is not a void. It is a time of profound self-evaluation. The soul, freed from the body, enters a state of pure awareness. There, in what he described as a council with guides or higher selves, it undertakes a life review. Imagine this review not as a judgment but as a diagnostic session. The soul sees its past life, not as a linear film, but as an ocean of experience where every cause and every effect are perfectly visible. It feels the love it gave, and it feels the pain it caused, not as punishment but as data. From this state of higher understanding, the soul, in collaboration with its guides, designs the curriculum for its next incarnation. It identifies the primary lesson it needs to master. Perhaps it is unconditional love, perhaps it is forgiveness, perhaps it is courage. Then it chooses the precise conditions, the family, the culture, the body, that will create the perfect laboratory for that lesson. A soul seeking to master compassion might choose parents who are cold and distant. A soul needing to learn humility might choose a life of poverty after a past life of immense power. This is where the ancient philosophy of Advaita Vedanta provides the grand cosmic context. It teaches that our individual soul, the Atman, is in truth identical to the ultimate universal consciousness, Brahman. We are not separate beings. We are droplets of the divine ocean that have temporarily forgotten we are the ocean itself. This forgetting is the grand illusion, or Maya, And our life on Earth, within the families we choose, is the cosmic school designed by the Atman for one purpose: to remember its unity with Brahman. The challenges are not random suffering, they are divine equations. And our family is the classroom where we are given the chance to finally solve them. The great philosopher of Vedanta, Adi Shankara, explained this with a powerful metaphor. The soul is like space in a jar. The jar gives the space a temporary shape, a form, a sense of being separate. But is the space inside the jar different from the space outside? Not at all. When the jar breaks, when the body dies, the space simply merges back into the whole, realizing it was never separate to begin with. This is the ultimate goal of the cosmic school. Each life is an opportunity for the space in the jar to realize its own boundless nature, even while still confined. Cayce's readings offered a practical blueprint for this philosophical truth. He explained that the soul chooses its curriculum with surgical precision. It reviews not one, but a spectrum of possible families, each offering a different syllabus of challenges and opportunities. One path might be smoother, leading to a life of relative ease, but offering slower growth. Another might be a path of immense difficulty, fraught with betrayal or loss, but offering the potential for accelerated spiritual awakening. The soul, from its higher perspective, does not fear pain. It fears stagnation. It fears another lifetime lost in the illusion of Maya. And so, with a courage we can barely comprehend in our human state, it often chooses the more difficult path. It signs up for the advanced course, knowing that the pressure is what turns carbon into diamonds. The choice is a testament not to a desire for suffering, but to an unquenchable thirst for truth. If this perspective is true, then everything we thought we knew about our deepest wounds, our family traumas, and our sense of injustice is turned on its head. The parent who abandoned you? Not a random act of cruelty, but perhaps a prearranged lesson in self-reliance and discovering your own inner source of love. The sibling rivalry that defined your childhood? Not a competition for affection, but a karmic training ground to overcome envy and comparison. This does not excuse harmful behavior. It does not mean we should tolerate abuse, but it reframes the narrative from one of victimhood to one of purpose. The question ceases to be, why did this happen to me, and becomes, what did my soul intend for me to learn from this? This is the very essence of the Bhagavad Gita's teaching on Dharma, our sacred duty. Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna that the soul's journey is not about seeking comfort, but about fulfilling a specific purpose, a role in the cosmic play. Our family is the first and most critical stage for this play. Within this sacred theater, souls often exchange roles life after life to learn every side of a lesson. Cayce's readings are filled with such cases. A soul who was an abusive father in one life might choose to be the neglected son of that same soul in the next, not for revenge but for empathy. To fully understand the wound, you must experience it from both sides. Therefore, the person in your family who challenges you the most, who triggers your deepest pain, may not be your enemy. From the soul's perspective, they might be your most dedicated teacher, a brave karmic partner who agreed to play a difficult role in your story so that you could finally awaken. This single idea has the power to transform lifetimes of resentment into a profound, if difficult, gratitude. Sometimes the soul's mission is not just about its own individual learning, it's about healing an entire lineage. Imagine a family tree where, for generations, a specific karmic pattern has been passed down, a legacy of fear, of silence, of addiction, or of unspoken grief. This is the karmic luggage not of one soul, but of a whole group, repeating the same lesson, failing the same test life after life. Then a soul arrives with a different intention. It chooses to incarnate into this very lineage, not because it shares the same wound, but because it has the strength to heal it. Cayce called these souls carriers of transformation. From a young age, these individuals often feel like outsiders in their own families. They don't fit the established patterns. Their sensitivity is seen as weakness. Their desire for truth is perceived as rebellion. They are the ones who refuse to carry the family's pain in silence. Their journey is often lonely and intensely difficult. They become the focal point for the family's unresolved energies. But by facing the darkness, by choosing a different response, compassion instead of anger, truth instead of denial, they do something extraordinary. They break the chain. They pass the test that generations before them could not. In the cosmic school, these are the souls who not only graduate, but become the teachers for their entire ancestral line, demonstrating that even the oldest karmic debts can be paid in full through a single lifetime of conscious courage. But this leads us to the edge of what can be known, to a question so profound that it pushes language to its breaking point. Why? Why would a soul, an eternal fragment of divine consciousness, agree to such a painful and difficult curriculum? From our limited human perspective, trapped in the illusion of Maya, the choice to embrace suffering seems illogical, even masochistic. When those who have had near-death experiences are asked to describe the moment they agreed to return to their bodies, the transcripts often record a long, contemplative pause. They speak of an understanding that cannot be fully translated into words. They describe being shown a cosmic tapestry, a vast, intricate pattern of light where every thread of suffering was woven into a design of breathtaking beauty and necessity. They understood that no pain was meaningless, and that the courage to incarnate into a difficult life was seen, from that higher plane, as an act of immense love and service. This is the limit of our investigation. The ultimate reason for the soul's choice is not an intellectual formula. It is a state of being. It's a knowledge so profound that, as the mystics of Vedanta would say, the one who knows it cannot speak it, and the one who speaks it does not know it. We were shown the plan, but we cannot remember the reason, and perhaps the entire purpose of the school is to live our way back into that silent, all-knowing love. Swami Vivekananda spoke of this choice not as a calculation, but as an impulse of love. The soul, existing in a state of unity with Brahman, sees the parts of itself still lost in the dream of separation, still caught in the wheel of suffering. The choice to incarnate is a divine act of compassion, a rescue mission. The soul descends into the illusion, willingly taking on the veil of forgetting, for the chance to awaken another part of itself. It's as if a master physician, immune to a plague, willingly chooses to enter the quarantine zone, forgetting their own identity, just to live among the sick and show them the way to the cure from within. This forgetting is the most crucial part of the curriculum. If we came into this life with full memory of our divine nature and the plan we had designed, the test would be meaningless. There is no courage without vulnerability. There is no learning without the possibility of failure. The silence at the heart of this mystery is not an absence of an answer. It is the answer itself. It is the sacred space where the soul's infinite wisdom gives way to the human heart's finite, terrifying, and beautiful choice to learn, to fail, and ultimately to love its way back home. The curriculum requires that we don't just know the path, it requires that we walk it. And yet this entire perspective is dismissed by the dominant paradigm of our time, scientific materialism. From this viewpoint, consciousness is nothing more than a ghost in the machine, an electrical fizz produced by the brain. When the brain dies, the ghost vanishes. The idea of a soul choosing its family is, therefore, not just wrong. It is a neurological delusion, a comforting story we tell ourselves to cope with the terror of a meaningless, accidental existence. The materialist explanation is simple. Your family is the result of genetics and environment. Your traumas are psychological wounds, not karmic lessons. Your feeling of a deeper purpose is a trick of a brain evolved for survival. But this explanation, in its sterile simplicity, fails to account for a growing body of evidence that it cannot ignore. It cannot explain the thousands of cases, meticulously documented by researchers like Dr. Ian Stevenson at the University of Virginia, of children who spontaneously recall specific, verifiable details from past lives, sometimes even describing the process of choosing their new parents. It cannot explain the consistent, cross-cultural reports from near-death experiencers who describe the same life review process and planning stage that mystics like Cayce detailed decades earlier. How can thousands of people, from different cultures and with no prior contact, have the same hallucination? The resistance to this knowledge is not truly about a lack of evidence. It is about the terror of its implications. If we are more than our bodies, if we are responsible for our own lives on a soul level, then the entire foundation of a victim-based materialistic culture collapses. It is easier to believe we are cosmic accidents than to accept the awesome, terrifying responsibility of being co-authors of our own reality. The materialist paradigm offers a strange kind of comfort, the comfort of powerlessness. If your life is the product of random chance, your genes, your upbringing, the society you were born into, then you are not truly responsible for your inner state. You can blame your parents, your biology, your history. You are, in a sense, a victim of circumstance, and this narrative absolves you of the difficult work of inner transformation. To accept the soul's curriculum is to accept the ultimate freedom. But freedom, as the great philosophers knew, is a heavier burden than chains. It means your suffering is not meaningless noise, it is a signal. Your deepest challenges are not punishments, they are assignments. Your life is not a random walk, it is a sacred mission you assign to yourself. This is a terrifying prospect for an ego that thrives on blame and external validation. The ego would rather be a victim in a meaningless universe than a student in a purposeful one, because the student has homework to do. The Vedanta philosophy calls this the lethargy of the soul, tamas, a state of inertia and darkness that resists the light of truth because that light demands change. Mainstream science, by clinging to a model that cannot explain consciousness itself, is not defending reason, it is defending this inertia. It is building a fortress of theories to protect us from the sheer scale of who we might actually be and the profound duty that knowledge entails. So we are left at a crossroads, standing between two vastly different maps of reality. One tells us we are biological machines in a random universe. The other tells us we are eternal souls attending a cosmic school of our own design. Now that you have seen this evidence, you cannot unsee it. The stories of Cayce, the wisdom of Vedanta, the echoes in modern research, they plant a seed of possibility that can never be removed. This knowledge is not meant to be a passive belief. It is a tool for transformation. It invites you to become a conscious student in your own cosmic school. Look at your life, at your family, at your deepest pains, not as a sentence, but as a syllabus. Ask yourself, what lesson is hidden here? What strength is this challenge designed to forge in me? This is the beginning of the great work. It is the journey from believing you are the clay to remembering you are the sculptor. If this investigation has expanded your sense of what is possible, leave a like, not for the algorithm, but as a sign that your mind is open. Subscribe if you are ready to investigate the next piece of this cosmic puzzle. The great exploration of who you are has only just begun.